Alrighty, well, we have a wonderful gift today. Dr. Reverend Doctor.
The same thing I do.
Ayleen, Ms. Augustine, our Druid princess, and our organizer of trips to Europe. And let's see, what other titles can we give you? Looking very good in her red dress, may I add.
Also chiropractor and friend.
And chiropractor, and Reiki master, Reiki teacher. Oh, this is fun.
Teacher.
A mother, not a grandmother yet. We're kind of glad of that. I want to introduce this wonderful lady. We're always looking forward to what she's going to have to say. I secretly think sometimes she is too. I think she has this wonderful guidance where she channels things, and she gets a look on her face like, I didn't know I was going to say that. Please welcome the Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine. Yes.
Just really quick, to you, my beloved Reverend Dr. Ayleen, this is your birthday candle, a symbol of new birth. This is a druid tree for you.
Oh, thank you.
You are such a gift and a treasure to so many dimensions of my life and our life. This one.
Thank you. One birthday girl, stand up, Debbie.
That's right. We gotta get the Deb.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Deborah. Happy birthday to you. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And it is just so exciting to have, when you're getting ready for something that is really exciting to you, and yet you have all the little pieces beforehand that you got to put together. It's like, okay, I got to schedule this, I got to drop the dog off here, I got to do this. And it's almost like in that last 24 hours that you go, oh my gosh, I'm going to freaking England. So as we look at those things that we step up into in life, and the ways that, we test those boundaries and we push things out, we try things new, one of the things that can come in is the idea that we're going to mess it up. That we will try and we will fail, and maybe not just fail, but fail epically. What does that mean to us? And the question that comes up is, what would you dare do if you knew you couldn't get it wrong?
What would Dottie do?
What would Dottie do? If she knew she couldn't get it wrong, which it always works out somehow.
Yes, it does.
And in thinking about this topic, and I've had it kind of come into my field a lot lately, with a lot of people coming and talking to me about all the things that they want to do. And it's like, wow, and I would really love to be a healer, or I would really love to be a public speaker, or I would really love to be a reverend. And it's like, well, why not? It's like, well, and then comes the list of all the reasons why they are worried that it wouldn't work out. Well, if I get up to public speak, and what if no one shows up? Or what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I'm dancing and I fall down? Or, what if I try to become a healer and I find out I'm not very good at it? What if I hurt somebody? And it is interesting because when Dottie mentioned about the idea of, when the lights went down, you thought your vision was going. One of the things that happens in chiropractic college is eventually they let us actually adjust the real world. I mean, we can damage each other all we want. and there's a certain, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm damaging somebody, but hey, they came to chiropractic college, they knew the risks. But the idea of actually going out to a clinic, and you're in your white intern vest and your jacket, and you're feeling very, very almost a doctor, and for the first time, you're placed in a room. with a patient who is looking at you and saying, okay, fix me. And suddenly every possible doubt that could come up comes up. What if I hurt this person? What if I adjust them wrong? And all of these things. And one of my favorite stories when I first became an intern, I don't know if it's true, but it was a really cool story anyway. That one of the clinicians said that there was an intern who was very nervous and finally got in to do their first neck adjustment. And the patient had never been adjusted before. So you've got two people who are very nervous in a room. Now, the intern is like checking every other possible thing on this patient. And time drags on and the clinic closes. Well, the clinician goes through and if they don't, see any evidence of anybody, they turn off the lights.
Wow.
And it gets very dark in there. And so finally this intern, works up the courage and it's like, okay, we're going to adjust your neck. And the person is sitting there, it's like, okay, you're going to adjust my neck. And at the moment of the adjustment, the clinician who thought the clinic was empty turns off the lights.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
And in one of the treatment rooms, he hears, oh my God, you made me blind. And then he hears a forlorn intern going, me too. We worry about getting it wrong.
Oh, that's funny.
We worry about not being everything that either we believe we should be or that maybe someone else expects us to be. And I've been doing a lot of speaking and I've had just a wonderful time. And I was thinking, it's like, okay, what are the things that I worry about getting wrong? Well, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I don't remember a detail correctly? What if I just blank? So I decided that, and I'm going to get you guys to help me to challenge myself a little bit. Now, what I would like is, I'm going to ask you guys for 3 things. One, I would like somebody to give me an old commercial jingle.
Drop, drop, fizz,
Fizz,
fizz.
fizz. Oh, what are they?
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Yep, plop, plop,
Okay.
fizz, fizz.
Tell you what, Annie, could you do that for me? Right, plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
I was actually thinking of that.
Okay, and could somebody give me a line from a country western song? Oh, come on, we got some closet country western. I know, we got Hank Williams here, come on.
I can't help it if I'm still in love with you.
I can't help it if I'm still in love with you.
Oh, I love that
Oh,
one.
good one.
Alrighty, and the third thing is an old saying, just any old wives' tale type of, little,
Like if you walk out with your hair wet, you'll catch a cold, that kind of thing?
well, it's like a stitch in time saves 9, or, some sort of, oh, Dottie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, don't go into swimming after dark.
No, but that,
Well,
yeah.
you know what, let's go with that one. Okay, don't go swimming until after an hour after you've eaten.
Don't sit under the apple tree. Yeah, okay.
I had
God, I was worried somebody was gonna give me that, my baloney has a first name thing.
I can sing that one.
Two off beat.
Or do you want us to
Special
add
sauce
that one in
legs.
just in case?
So that's still.
Oh, here's the lid.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so we have plop, plop, fizz, fizz. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you, and no swimming for an hour after eating. I have to incorporate all 3 of those in my talk today. And I've got roughly 20 minutes to do it. So, ooh. I've got another idea. No, we'll do this one, So the idea is that a lot of times things come into our field, into our existences, that we didn't anticipate, that we didn't figure for. How do we work that into overcoming the idea that we can do it wrong? Now first, let's kind of get on the same sheet of music as to the word wrong. The word wrong can mean incorrect. The word wrong can mean unjust or immoral. The word wrong can be a verb, as in you can wrong someone. I wronged him or I wronged her. So, yes?
I was going to say, I translate that as I'm not right.
Yeah, and that is really good because often the wrong is turned
Make sure
inside.
you're plugged in.
Make sure I'm in there. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Don't step on the cord.
And don't step on the cord, because that would be wrong. Well, and the idea is that when, you know, we think about the things that don't go the way we want them to, we may set a wonderful intention. Maybe this is the person that I'm meant to be with the rest of my life, or this is the job that is perfect for me, or this is the endeavor that I want to go into. You know, or, you know, maybe this is the cause I want to trust. When we place our trust in something and we feel like it went wrong. Anybody here ever had their trust betrayed by someone that, you know, they, well, trusted?
Me.
Yeah, pretty much. We all went through it, but does that mean that we can't trust again? Does that mean it's wrong to trust? No. It just means, well, we may have to modify our choices based on that person. Sometimes, even when the trust is betrayed, it doesn't mean you did a wrong thing in trusting them. Because that has nothing to do with them. That has to do with you. And when, you know, we see the things that, you know, we want to manifest in our lives just kind of, you know, fade away. We see the things that, you know, we want to put together and we want to be able to say, it's like, okay, here's my vision, here's my affirmations, I've got my vision board all set up and all of this. And then the next thing you know, just like Alka-Seltzer in water, you drop it in, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a realization it is. Okay, I got one. Yay! And as we hit that realization, now what we end up with is something that will serve us. It's just not in the first form that it was in. It wasn't our idea. In order to find that place of release and relief, sometimes something's got to fall apart. Something's got to give. And a lot of times what's got to give is our attachment to what we think the end result should be. Sometimes what's got to give is that, no, I expect this gift to be wrapped in blue paper with a red ribbon. Well, maybe it's yellow paper with a green ribbon. Well, that's not acceptable. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I sent you a helicopter. You know, the idea of the story of, you know, the person who wanted to be rescued, you know, it's like, oh, God will rescue me. God will, you know, save me from the flood. And it's like, you know, the guy comes by with a boat. Hey, you know, jump on in. No, God's going to save me. You know, a bigger boat comes by. No, God's going to save me. A helicopter throws down a ladder. No, God's going to save me. They drown. What up, God? You didn't save me. It's like I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What more do you want? And that particular old joke, an old story, is really, it touches me because I went through a phase in my life where it was like I had a definite expectation. I had to short sell my home. And it was the home that my parents bought in 1969. And I trusted someone when I needed to, my marriage had ended and, you know, I needed to be able to get a mortgage under my own name. And I figured I couldn't do it. And somebody came and he goes, no, I can guarantee you a loan. I guarantee you.
I
Guarantee. And, you know, and I said, well, you know, and I looked at the balloon payments. It's like, I can't make those. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll refinance before it gets to that point. You'll be fine.
Little girl.
And at that point, I needed to hear more than anything else, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I trusted. And I signed on. And some years later, that individual was nowhere to be found to help me. And I couldn't keep the home. So I found an attorney who said, don't worry about it. We've got it covered. We're not only going to keep your home, but you're going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars because that was a predatory loan and da-da-da-da. And so even though I felt that it's like, wow, I was wrong to trust that person, but maybe I'm not wrong to trust this one. So it's like, all right, gonna do my due diligence. I'm gonna, take it and write it out, and I'm gonna, research this guy, and everything was fine. And it turned out he was a crook too. So then I reached the point where I had to, I was having to short sell my home. And I mean, the memories, my sister transitioned in that house. It held 3 generations of my family. Both my parents had passed, and I felt it was up to me to hold on to it. And I couldn't let them down. My idea of what was wrong would have been to let down my parents. And that was a wrong that I could not face. So I said, okay, I'm going to apply for a loan modification. And when I did, I said, look, universe, it's me. I've done you a lot of favors. You've done me a lot of favors. This is a big one I'm asking. I need you to tell me right now whether or not I'm going to save this house. And the answer came back crystal clear, absolutely yes. And I said, okay. And something made me ask an additional question. I said, am I going to be living in this house? And the answer came back, absolutely not. So I figured, well, I'm going to save the house. My sons are going to move into it. They're going to pay me rent. And, I'm going to go and have the house I always wanted. Yay! We win. Good guys win. But I was rejected for a loan modification. And I went back and I said, hey, universe, creator God, it's me. Again. It didn't go the way you said it was going to go. That was not okay. Was I wrong to trust you? Was I wrong to trust in your love of me? And the answer came back, no, you weren't. It's like, well, you said I'd save my house. And the answer was, you will, by letting it go. The house had cracks, the house had things that needed to be done, and it reached the point, even long before all this came up, that when I looked at that house, all I saw were its flaws. All I saw was what was wrong with it. All I saw were the things that I was going to have to spend my money on, and I grew to resent the house. Everything has a spirit. And I would imagine that that house was not real keen on the fact that every day that I came into it, it could feel my resentment of it. Cracks seemed to get a little bit bigger. And, the floor seemed a little less even and more squeaky. What was made clear to me was that by releasing that house, I was going to save it because somebody else was going to come in, look at it, and see nothing but potential. Something that I couldn't see in it anymore. So I did. I accepted that our spiritual contract was done. We were not meant to be together forever. That house was in other hands before my family came to it, and it would be in other hands after us. I drive past the house and I see kids out front laughing. They did a whole bunch of work on it. And it's weird because everything they did on it was stuff that I wanted to do. It was stuff that the house, down to the color of the paint.
Wow.
But it had a whole nother energy. It was happy. It was fulfilled. It was a home again. And as much as I loved it, and I couldn't help if I was still in love with it. You gonna give me that one? Give me that one? Yes.
I saw that coming.
I will. Yes.
There's another song, country song, goes along with that.
Did it get more work?
Don't ask me.
My lips could tell a lie, but my heart would know.
Yeah.
Nice one. So, the idea that I will always love that home. And now that love is not hampered by regret.
Right.
I was not wrong to give up that house, even as much as I loved it, because it was time for us to part. My feeling is there really is no such thing as wrong. There's unexpected. There is learning opportunities. I had a friend who once said that if you're going to make a mistake, make an epic one, because then you get more bang for your, self-improvement buck. You can shove 5 good lessons into one epic screw up. Then, it's like, it's better than doing it little by little. So what's wrong with being wrong? What's wrong? Yes, Christina?
I like thinking about wrong in the sense you missed the bullseye.
Yeah. You missed the bullseye, but you did hit something. And it's sort of like in singing, it's like, well, that is a perfect note, maybe it just belongs somewhere else. You didn't sing it wrong, you just sang it different.
What do I always say? As long as it's in the right key, it's fine.
Yeah. And if everybody makes the same mistake, nobody notices.
That's right.
That explains the world.
Yes, that explains the world.
That's right.
But the idea that when we take a look at our relationship with the things that we think went wrong, a lot of times in hindsight, it turns out, wow, at the moment, I thought it was wrong, I thought it was horrible, but later on, it turned out that that was the best thing that could have happened. The wrong that happened in your life today or yesterday, 5 years down the line, may be something that you consider one of your greatest blessings. It is really hard to tell what is our relationship with something when it doesn't go as we planned, even when it doesn't go as we hoped. And sometimes it can get really hard. It can get very hard and bumpy, and we feel very alone in that place of wrong. Sometimes because we don't want to share it. We don't want to tell anybody because it's like, well, if I mess up and I'm the only one who knows it, it's not so bad. But if I mess up and everybody knows it, sometimes one of the hardest things you can do is stand up and say, you know what? I messed up and I need help. And we're all there at some point. If we're not there, we're holding space for someone who did. And if somebody comes to you and admits that they messed up, that is a huge gift. Because they trust you. Sometimes when I mess up and, I take it to God. I use the term creator. Whatever your vision of that consciousness that is there with you at all times. There's never a time when that consciousness is not with you. It may feel like it sometimes, but really there isn't. My mother's favorite poem that, that was read at her service was Footprints.
I love that.
And, we know how that one goes where, two people are a person is walking with God and, it's like, well, these are the tracks of your life. And, right next to them, see, there's your footprints and there's my footprints. The person says, well, what about those places where there's only one set? That's when you left me. And God said, no, I never left you. That was when I carried you. That was when, and I think about the song, he ain't heavy, he's my brother.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, anybody who can hear that song and not at least tear up a little bit, take a class or something. You need to watch Bambi a few times, and maybe Sounder, get in touch with that. Because of the beauty, of that song. And it's like, you know what? If I'm burdened at all, I'm burdened with the sadness that everyone, isn't filled with this gladness.
Exactly.
And there are some burdens, there are some things, there are some wrong choices that when I take it to my Creator, that's where I can go, one, I know I'm not going to be judged. Creator's not going to say, well, there you did it again. Oh my gosh, I sent you a boat, I sent you this, I gave you lessons. Did you not learn from the last one? I don't get that. Not from my Creator. I get it's okay. You'll get them next time. It's all right. You learned something. In the Druid traditions, the belief is that when we leave this life, we don't leave it with, regret or anything like that. Ultimately, all we leave it with is wisdom. And that wisdom becomes a very special gift because as we return to, spirit, everything that we endured, all the wisdom that we gained, we get to give to the universe. And the entire universe is made smarter, wiser, and more compassionate by the addition of what we experienced. Every pain, every heartbreak, every victory, it means something because ultimately it teaches all of existence based on what we went through. And I like that idea. It kind of makes it a little bit worthwhile. It makes it a little bit better to bear because when I'm in those points, when it is really low and really dark and really scary, I think this is going to be a heck of a gift for the universe. This is going to be the pain that I'm experiencing, every ounce of pain I'm experiencing now, somebody else is going to find joy because the whole universe, and it's like the consciousness of every single person is there. Every mistake that anybody else has ever made is there for me to learn from my spirit. And for me it's that part of when you're getting ready to make a decision and something tells you, you need to do it this way or you need to do it that way. That's that moment that I feel that universal wisdom comes in. And the reason that it's like, I don't think I should do that is because at some point somebody else did it. It went badly, they learned from it, and now they're a part of the consciousness.
Like going swimming before and after.
Like going swimming. I'm working on it, Stealing my thunder. I was coming in for the landing here. Great, now I gotta work out something else. Unanticipated. See, he was a part of the consciousness. He jumped. No. We will earn it. So the idea. Okay. So when we think about consequences for our choices, often there are things that people tell us. People are very happy to tell us about consequences of choices before we actually do it. Has anybody here ever received unsolicited advice? Especially on a topic that the person really doesn't know that much about. And I find it funny because occasionally I will run into people. It's like, well, I'm not a doctor, but what you need to do is like, wow, for someone who's not a doctor, you got a lot of medical advice. It's like, and I sit there and it's like, well, as a doctor, I think that some of the things are very valid, but I really think you should go see a professional about it. So when we look at the way that people believe the world should be, and it's very well-meaning, it doesn't make us wrong because we choose something else. It doesn't make us wrong because we don't go with the established belief systems. It's okay to eat a sandwich and then go swimming. Maybe not with the sharks, but at least not a roast beef sandwich. Make sure you wipe it off first. We can't be wrong. I mentioned to someone, I said, well, what would you dare do if you knew you couldn't get it wrong? And she brought up a valid point. She said, well, if I knew it couldn't go wrong, How does that demonstrate courage by me doing it? You know, it's like, well, it's not that daring if I know it's going to go okay. And a very valid point, which I think I sort of agree with, but then there's a part that I don't. Because when you believe that something is not going to go wrong, it doesn't mean it's not going to go different. There is that place of faith that we still go to. There is that place of, all right, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to believe the outcome is positive. And doesn't that take courage by itself?
Yes.
Isn't that place of believing in what has no proof? Doubting Thomas. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. I can believe that it's going to be okay. I can believe that, you know, everything's going to be fine. But ultimately, it's the will of the universe to decide how that goes. I believe that I am a part of that divine consciousness. I have Creator in me as much as I am within Creator. And can Creator mess up too bad? And if Creator is within me, and if I accept that, and if I go, you know what? Another friend of mine, she had a phrase, it's like, well, at least they're not going to put you against a wall and shoot you. It's like, well, I suppose that depends on what I did. But I can't see it, but, you know, it's like, well, if I make a mistake at work, no, they're not going to put me against a wall and shoot me. When I think of the worst case scenarios, it's like, well, for a relationship, if I choose poorly in my relationship, then worst case scenario, the relationship is going to go very badly, and there may be some yelling, there may be some anger, and we will not be together. What is the worst case scenario to that?
You're alone.
Yeah, you're alone.
Growth.
Growth, you know, and the idea that maybe I could have chosen better. But if you chose differently, what would you have learned? The people who always make the right choice, always make the right decisions, in my mind, they don't learn quite as much. I look back on my life and it's the stuff that I'm just like, oh dear Lord, seriously, I chose that? Really? Those were the things that I learned the most from. Those were the things that allowed me to become the person that I am. The foundation work of who I am in this moment primarily are the things that I messed up. And even if I didn't learn anything other than, well, I'm not doing that again, I still learned. And it was something that I could share with others. So don't worry about being wrong, because really there is no wrong. There's just unexpected. And when you're in that place of judging yourself and saying, okay, wrong is not what I did, it's what I am. That's when it's time for you to lighten up a little bit. Talk to somebody. We all have made wrong choices. And I tell you what, if our wrong choices brought each and every one of us into this room today, not so bad. So don't worry about it. Lighten up. Accept that the nature of our human experience, we're divine beings having a human experience. A part of that human experience is to mess up. Because that way, it's not so much that we stand for others as someone who doesn't mess up. What's important is we stand as someone who can mess up, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. That's the biggest lesson that we can give to others. Don't stand as an example that is perfect. Stand as an example that is perfectly human and perfectly loving and perfectly accepting. You know, I've been thinking about that Oscar Mayer thing. I want to take a shot at it. I've got like another minute, so it's like it's been bothering me. It's like, you know, maybe I could have done something with that. So, okay. Yeah, my baloney has a first name. Wait, don't get ahead of me.
I did it.
Actually, my baloney has two first names. I''MTO. My baloney has a second name. It's BLAME. I used to feel that every day. But now, if you ask me, I will say that I'm to blame is nothing but BOLOGNA.
Good job. Yay! High five.